my goodness. Oh my goodness. Good afternoon. Oh, all of you are so beautiful. Okay. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I want to tell you how absolutely honored I am. When they called me, I just couldn't believe it. I thought they were joking. I'm totally blown away by this, truly. First of all, I just want to thank Jim McKaysey, Dr. Michael Shin for inviting me here, the Board of Trustees, all of you beautiful, beautiful faculty. I know how much you mean to these students. I remember my own, and especially my sweet, sweet Diney, Laura Marie Duncan, probably the biggest reason I'm here. We did South Pacific, as she said, on Broadway together, way back when wearing a bikini on stage was an option. But who knew that when I was there doing South Pacific, turning cartwheels in that bikini, that I was pregnant with a baby boy who is now looking to come to this college for his college. It's amazing. That passage of time, it kills me. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you, 2025 BOCO graduates, because today, and this moment, remind me of what it actually means to be an artist, a person of craft. Because sometimes we can forget if we're not careful, because before it becomes commercial, God forbid, or before it becomes your job, if you're lucky, before it becomes about marketing or gimmicks or stupid bikinis, because sometimes it does, it is simply just the thing you love, the thing you decided you could not live without, the thing that set you apart because you were really effing good at it. So you came here and you stayed, and today you can celebrate that you have seen this through, that you have made it to this graduation day. Yeah. I remember the feeling, even after all these years. It's incredible, it's infectious. So today you walk out of here with every advantage this amazing establishment provides you, every connection, huge connections, every friendship, every hardship, every moment of growth. These things are for keeps, if you keep them. Where I can't say I had a similar experience to you, I do remember all these feels, wanting this, searching for my place in this story. I grew up in a small town on a farm in the middle of the country where I had no access to places like Boston Conservatory. But just like you, I had my dreams. I had movie musicals and films. I was this really chubby adolescent kid who had a lot of feelings, a lot of inner thoughts, a lot of conversations with myself. But when I learned that I could put those feelings into a song or a story, especially to help someone, to tell someone else's story, to learn about others and to share it, my path started to become clear to me. And I believed that path would lead me to Broadway, but I had never even visited Broadway until I was 21 years old. I never even stepped foot in New York or saw a Broadway show until then. But I imagined it all. I made it all up in my head. I made it exactly what I wanted it to be, a place where you just can be anything, right? See, there was no internet really, or at least no social media, no feed to feed me info, to show me the life of a Broadway performer. I just made it up. When I first moved to New York, I was just so green, but I was so ready to go, and I felt more alive and more authentic than I had ever felt in my life. I mean, I was scared to death, but I didn't die. I'm still here, and honestly, I didn't come to New York to feel safe. I came to feel something. To feel everything and to not be called too sensitive for feeling it. So the real work began right at that very moment because I just desperately wanted to stay. And I knew I had to find work in order to do that. So I put on my lavender business suit, as you do, and my tan character heels with my tan tights in hot September, and I started pounding the pavement. There was no video submission that I could edit and then send in. It was just me, and I was such a dork. But God, I loved it. And I loved the idea of it, at least, right? And then I opened my mouth to sing Somebody Somewhere from the operetta musical The Most Happy Fella, with my best movie musical soprano voice from another era, hot off an opera degree, hardly taking into account that the big shows running at the time were Rent, Aida, Scarlet Pimpernel, Jekyll and Hyde, Footloose, etc. You get what I'm saying? Pop musicals, yes. Now don't get me wrong, I got one of those jobs. I did, soon after. But in order to do it, I had to shape-shift myself and my voice into a being that was so wildly beyond my comfort zone. I was a good mimic, but doing something once is really different from doing it 8 times a week. I would stand backstage and I would cry, and I would beat my head against the wall, trying over and over again to belt a certain passage just right, or straight tone a note so forward in my mask that it might seem like I was belting, so I wouldn't crack again, maybe no one would notice. But I did it. I did the national tour of Jekyll and Hyde on the road for 14 months, made some of the best friends of my life, saved some money. But when I was given my big shot to come back to New York City to join the Broadway production as a replacement, I did it. I made my Broadway debut with a cast of total strangers who didn't much like the color green, in a show that was so ready to close, and there I was still trying to scrult. And it was one of the most confusing times of my personal or professional life. This wasn't what I thought it would be. Whose voice was I using? Who was I? Why was I struggling so much when this was the thing I dreamed of my whole life? I think I was miserable because I had no artistic voice of my own, or at least I didn't find it yet. I wanted so badly to sing songs and tell stories, but the new ones weren't written for me. I was doing so much of trying to fit my round voice into square pegs, but I stayed, and I kept searching, and I did find work, great work, in a Sondheim show, in a Marvin Hamlisch show. Neither of those were successful productions, but they were important experiences. But it wasn't until I was licking my wounds from a flopped Broadway show called Sweet Smell of Success that I found myself doing a workshop, cast only at the time as a placeholder, out on a mountain in Utah, that I met Adam Guettel, who, with a classical background of himself, was writing the show that changed my life. The Light in the Piazza. You know it. So in The Light in the Piazza, Adam wrote Franca's high F because I begged him to do it. I was playing Franca in that workshop. Later, when I played Clara, he added high notes at the end of The Beauty Is, as well as her operatic interlude in Act 2, because he wanted to give me a chance to sing that way. 22 years later, I would sing his score of Days of Wine and Roses, and I would come home again. And in all the in-between years, I would begin to meet composers like Ricky Ian Gordon and Scott Frankel and Dan Lipton and Jason Robert Brown and Kevin Putz, and they would write for my voice, and it made me feel whole and found. And along the way, I started to celebrate what I can do, and I stopped killing myself for what I cannot do. Not to limit myself, but to love myself, my art, to finally start to breathe, to smile within my craft. And that's what I want you to know today. It's not just the craft, finding work inside the craft, it's your interpretation of the craft, your authentic voice within it, your artistry. It's the only way. And if the in thing, whatever that means, isn't necessarily your thing, I guess what I'm saying is find some trusted collaborators and build a world for yourself. Sweet Ben Platt, who played my son in a reading of The Bridges of Madison County once, said in his Tony speech, don't waste any time trying to be like anybody but yourself, because the things that make you strange are the things that make you powerful. To close, and this is important to me to say to you, I just want to say that I think that we are the lucky ones in this life, in this country, we artists. because we don't fear differences. We seek them out. We celebrate them. We're not followers. We lead. We don't hate. We wear empathy like a badge. So we have a responsibility to provide a system of checks and balances in a landscape of fear and bullying. We must fight for humanity, all humanity, by staying, by telling our stories and the stories of others any way we can with our true voices and the ones that don't ask us to compromise, and especially for those who don't have voices to use. And even if we have to wear a bikini, if the character really calls for it, we go for it. But by God, be more than that bikini. And as my husband Greg always has said to me, I want you to go spread the joy and the hope. I want you to keep asking the hard questions, go toward the pain, and I want you to go change the world before it tries to change us. Thank you with all my heart, and congratulations to all of you. I'll be seeing you soon, I know it.